So this is a serious question. Is Fallout 76 dying? Now, I'm not saying that it is dying. I'm merely asking the question. This video is not intended to be negative. As you guys should know me by now, I am not negative in the least bit generally. I'm usually a really positive person, and I always see like the best things in everything. Even if there's like a buggy mess in front of me, I generally see the experience as a whole, the gameplay, the lore, things like that, and I really enjoy myself most of the time. So I'm merely trying to get your feelings and then start a dialogue with you. I want to hear your thoughts. Leave your comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts about these different things. So it seems as though many people think that the game is dying, and from the comments that I've seen, a lot of people have left the game after the most recent nerf. And you guys know what I'm talking about, the nerf with like the 2-shot and the explosive. People have said that they are just tired of the changes and have given up on the game. Now, that has been going on in one form or another for as long as the game has been out, with obvious outrage for certain things, which I thought was largely unfounded. I'll get to that later in the video, but for reasons that I thought were always a little bit silly, or just because it didn't meet their expectations, which is obviously reasonable, but should not cause like massive outrage. If you have a thought or an idea what the game should be like, that's one thing, but if like a developer outright lies to you, which we'll talk about here, a game that like basically outright lied to us, No Man's Sky, that's justifiable. I understand that. So the question to you is this. Are you still playing the game? Now, if you do think it's dying, is there anything you think they can do to redeem things? What sort of content could they add to the game to make it more appealing or fun to play and bring people back or make more people join? Those are the types of questions that I have for you, and I want you to answer those in the comments below, because I'd love to hear your thoughts and really get an idea of where people stand with this. Now, I haven't given up all hope on the game, although I do think that the lack of interest for it has been reflected recently in my previous few videos in comparison to others. It seemed like all of a sudden, like, just this massive, like, surge of people just kind of left and lost interest in things. And I think it would happen right about around the time of that nerf. So, but I do want to say one thing to you. Do you remember No Man's Sky? Do you remember the game that was a massive flop and made so many people angry at launch because basically we were promised one thing and we got something entirely different? Like right around the launch of the game, people were extremely upset at this. But then, a year later, it was being hailed as a massive comeback story and like this most amazing game and insanely better than before, and it completely revitalized the game for a long time. And this is something that I think could definitely happen with Fallout 76. Perhaps this will happen with Fallout 76, perhaps not. Perhaps there isn't actually a massive need. Maybe there's still millions of people playing for all we know, and there are still like a large amount of people who are still supporting the game. I have no idea. I don't see those stats. I have no idea what the future holds for all these things, but all I know is that the game is rather fun and very enjoyable up until the end game, which is where I think a lot of issues start coming into play. There really isn't much to keep you going after a certain point. There needs to be more than just get the next bigger and better weapon, especially after they nerf the ones people are trying to get the most. I mean, like, that's like the biggest thing is like, okay, this really made a lot of people upset because people, I mean, I see it all the time. I was grinding for like 20 hours. I was grinding so much trying to get a 2-shot explosive or just an explosive gun, and then they completely nerf it into the ground. Like, what's the point of doing this? And I see like tons of people are like, just go melee build. You get so much, you can do so much damage with the melee build. And it's like, the problem is that you have to watch how you balance things. And this is like what I think where a large problem with Bethesda is, and I'll talk about that here in a second. But people are saying that Bethesda is ruined or whatever, and I have to completely disagree with this point I'm seeing. The good thing with Bethesda is that they have these large communities for various games that are almost completely separate from one another, and so I don't really see a big problem here. Maybe it's just like a problem with one area. The problem I see is largely with Fallout 76. Bugs, controversies, nerfs, I mean, you name it. There's like, they missed the mark a lot. But at the end of the day, we have to remember one thing. These are devs who are making a game in the way that they want it to be. even though they say that we want the community to shape it, sure, that may be true for large-scale ideas, but for individual things like balance or weapons or gameplay, this will all be up to the discretion primarily, because they're the ones who see the stats, they see the numbers, they can see the things in the database. They know exactly how many two-shot explosive weapons they are, they know exactly who the dupers were, they banned them all. I mean, I know some people who were banned because they had these like massive stashes with like 2 million pounds or something like that. You know, like those people, they know those people are there. They're not completely oblivious to this. So if we remember that the devs have the ultimate say and they have an idea for their game and what they want it to look like, I think if we remember that, I think we won't be as upset. Although I still understand the frustrations. Like, trust me, I still understand that. I'm not like shilling out or making like a complete like ploy, like where I'm like, oh yeah, guys, I side with you, but I really side with Bethesda. Like, I'm not paid by Bethesda or anything like that. I just truly enjoy Fallout 76, and so like I think if we remember that the devs are the ones who are making the game, I think we might have a little bit of different understanding. But like I said, I still totally understand the frustrations that arise. So one thing that I think was negatively like a huge negative thing that worked against Fallout 76 from the very beginning is all of the incorrect or misleading press that the game received. I actually was like very, very upset, and at the same time I actually find it quite hilarious, because if you read the articles or you watch the videos of people who are like complaining about the game and see the people with like level 10 to 15 characters criticizing the game as a whole, I mean, come on, like you barely scratched the surface of the game, and that is exactly what most of these reviews were. Surface level. They were completely surface level reviews. Yeah, sure, there's a bug here or there. The graphics aren't amazing. They're super outdated or whatever. But when it comes to gameplay, the game isn't all that bad, in my opinion. Now, like I said, there is a problem with endgame, but overall, the gameplay, the lore, the cool things you find, the outfits, I mean, you name it, there's some really cool things that the game has going for it. Now, I have never, ever agreed with how much bad press this game has got, because I thought it was completely unfair. Lots of YouTubers jumped on the Shane bandwagon without truly exploring the game. There's a lot of different things that came about that I think were issues that didn't need to be an issue. Like it didn't make sense to me. And then when you see people with those level characters, it's like, dude, you didn't even play the game. Like you're just jumping on the bandwagon. Sure, you might have seen a god ray showing through the hillside or something like that, but I mean, is that really worth you like making something that's like completely criticizing the game as a whole and basically lying about it? No, it's not. So I've never agreed with those things, but I totally understand certain aspects of those things, but just not as for the game as a whole. You know what I mean? I think another thing that Bethesda had working against it is the idea of Bethesda as a company. It's this massive company that has all of these resources, all of this money, these amazing games that they've made in the past, and then they make Fallout 76, and I think people were like expecting something more amazing, like this is the next Fallout game. I mean, this is like a huge thing to live up to. Fallout 5, I'm assuming will be amazing and people will love that game, but Fallout 76 is a different story. Fallout 4, people love Fallout 4. Everybody, they love the Fallout series, except for Fallout 76, because it didn't meet what they were used to, and I think that's like one thing that they had going against it. But they tried something new, and so that's why I was like, hey, we got to give these guys credit. They tried something new, and they're still going to be working on it. They're still going to have a team that's dedicated to working on the game. I'm sure they'll move some of those people out and they'll start working on the next project or whatever, but they'll keep putting stuff into this game and they'll try to build the game, unless of course the company as a whole just says this is not profitable, the game's dead, goodbye. That's a whole different thing that might happen, but I highly doubt it. I think another thing that Bethesda has working against it is the lack of like communication, in the sense of like, yeah, here's a patch note article, but you don't talk about like what actually is coming in the game. Maybe you want to keep it secret, maybe you don't have ideas, I don't know, but it's like there's a lack of communication in a way. It's like, here's our next article. It's like, okay, you're gonna fix 2 things with the scorch piece? Is that it? Like, is that all you're doing? Is there more to the story? You know what I mean? Like, it just seems very bare bones. And then not only that, but like, the changes that they did make before, like up to a point, and even now, so in a way, they kind of just like come out of nowhere. You know, it's like there's not a whole lot of reasoning behind it. There's not a whole lot of like justification. I think I truly understand the explosive and the two-shot nerf. I think they're trying to balance things out for PvP, but like I said in the last video, PvP is going to be dominated by melee builds. If you can't hit somebody who's running at you super fast, and your explosive weapon no longer kills them, and they're like, they own you in one hit, well, GG, right? I mean, so I think that's another thing that had going against it was just like lack of communication. And so, like I said, I'm not claiming that Fallout 76 is dying or is dead or like people are quitting. I'm just asking the question. Do you think it is? Do you think people are quitting? Have you quit? Did you uninstall? Did you stop playing? I would generally really like to understand and know where you guys stand on this. I think I have a pretty good grasp of where everyone stands. And I know this after doing YouTube for, what is it now, 6 years, that the negative comments are always louder than the positive ones. And so if you have a positive comment, definitely make sure to state it. Okay, because I can already foresee the comment section, and so I'm very curious to know what your thoughts are. I'm not trying to make this video negative, you guys. Like I said, I'm just merely like asking questions and stating my observations. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel, checking it out. Let me know if you guys, what do you think. I don't know how often I'm gonna be able to make Fallout content. Like I said, there's only so much you can do after a certain point, and there's only so much I can say or show, and guides I can make. I mean, I made up pretty much all the guides that I probably could. I do have one other idea that I'm gonna bring later in the week, so definitely make sure to stick around for that. I'm gonna be doing a giveaway, and so if you're interested in maybe getting some things from the game that I have, let me know, because I got some things that I'm gonna try to give away to people. So check back later in the week. So hopefully you guys are having a great day. Things are going well. I'll see you next time.